So first up we're going to have Colette Bailey, then Nikki Cornish, Agnes Lukash, did I get the surname right? Daniel Pynchon Phipps, Charlotte Windley, Laura Keeble, Amy McKenney, and the guest speaker is Ruth Catlow. So I shall ask Colette to come up and start. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I've just got something that I very quickly wanted. There we are. There's all our speakers. Oh, there's me. So I just wanted to very quickly tell you, some of you may already know, I'm the artistic director of Metal, and some of you already may already know that over this year we have been travelling a cafe around our venues in Peterborough. It came here in the summer and then went to, it's currently at the Liverpool Biennial. We're doing a programme of work there. This is what it looked like in Chalkwell Hall. It's a very lovely thing, and we are currently, when it's finished at the Biennial, we're currently working with the Leigh Town Council to put it more permanently in the community centre. So this is the space in the centre there, that, as you can see, looks a bit like a doctor's waiting room, but actually what's happening there is that the kind of building which was under threat for a little while has had a kind of stay of execution. And Leigh Town Council have got 5 years to make it work as a really thriving community space. So we're kind of throwing in our 2 pence really to kind of try and make that work by creating what we hope will be a really lovely social space at the centre of it with a really lovely social space at the centre of it with a cafe which will serve sandwiches and soups, but also we'll have a gallery wall. Working in conjunction with, these are just some images of the space. Working in conjunction with the white wall space, we're going to have a gallery wall there, so any artists who are interested in having a small show will do regular kind of little private views there. And for those of you who know the community centre, there's also like a really huge kind of venue right next door to the cafe. So we're going to be using that for a series of music events, maybe some cabaret and all kinds of different things. So what we're really hoping is that actually it'll kind of complement this building really well. So we can do our intimate events here, but we can do some bigger things there. So just so you know what the dates are, we're planning on opening it on Wednesday the 28th of November. There'll be a small private view that night and also kind of the launch of the cafe. We've got quite a few job opportunities there at the moment, so if anybody knows anybody who's looking for some casual bar evening work or cafe daytime work, let us know because there's some jobs going. And then volunteers. Over the next 4 weeks we've got to do lots of painting, and we've already got quite a few volunteers on hand to help do that. But if there's anybody else out there who might have a day or 2 spare to come and get their hands dirty with us, that would be brilliant. So just give us a shout and let us know. And apart from that, just look out for it and come and help support it, because I think spaces like that are really important for the kind of health of communities like Leigh, and actually we don't really want to lose that beautiful building. So yeah, hope to see you there at some point. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Nikki Cornish. I'm a photographer and I'm an art teacher at a local primary school. As you walked into Chalkwell Hall, you've seen some neon lights. These were designed by children that I teach at Darlinghurst. After teaching for 14 years, it's been really hard to keep my work fresh. This is a painting that some children of my gifted and talented children were starting to do. So I started going to a lot of art galleries, art exhibitions. This is TAP, one of my favourites. I'm a gallery photographer there and I'm very proud to be it. I also did some work with Sense for the visually and hearing impaired. This was a sensory exhibition in London. I'm an event photographer and I took these pictures there. This is one of the artists coming up now with one of his paintings. This was a private view in Barnet. Working with Sense gave me a different approach to my photography. I'm more looking at the senses, so I'm trying to get a little bit of taste and smell into my photographs as well. At another charity event for Havens, I met Rachel Riley. She's the Countdown co-host, and she has been amazing with my photography, and she asked me to do her wedding along with Hello magazine, and I was doing the reportage shots. So I spent a day with Hello and Rachel, and it was my responsibility to get the photos of her family and friends. Thoroughly enjoyed the day. This is her and her husband Jamie. It was through Rachel really that I gained my exhibition at the Beecroft Art Gallery. I entered a shot similar to this to an exhibition there, and I was refused by the judges. But one of the workers at the Beecroft spotted my work, and they've asked me to put a solo exhibition on there. My exhibition is called Click, and it runs from the 10th of November to the 8th of December. There's many different aspects to this exhibition. Architecture. So Ray Winston, I have photographed Ray Winston for the past 3 years, and I asked him to do this for me, for my main piece for my exhibition. Landscapes as well. I try and get the feminine form and landscapes joined together, and I'm trying to show this in my exhibition. There's quite a lot of nudity in my exhibition, and for this reason I'm using QR codes. So if you do come to my exhibition, there's an image of me in the background there. Some of the images will need to be scanned, and you need to download an app for that. This is the fabulous South Essex College Hospitality, and they've agreed to cater for the exhibition Click for me. Dean Chalkwell and Paul Cotgrove. Paul Cotgrove has been amazing. He asked me to be a photographer for the Southend Film Festival, and I've done that for the past 3 years. Because of Paul Cotgrove, I have an extensive portfolio of actors. This is Philip Barantini. I supplied the gun. Ray Winston again, obviously because I've met him for the past 3 years, he does appear in my portfolio quite a lot, and he is amazing. He will pose. The Cultural Centre at the end of the pier. I've got a second exhibition called Believe coming up there in February half term next year. I've done this one because there isn't any nudity, and all of the children that I teach will be able to come along to that exhibition. Dean Chalkley, he's a photographer. I don't follow many photographers. I try to think of ways of doing things for myself, but he has helped me and been willing to talk to me about photography and give me advice. My father. My dad is very supportive of my photography and does a lot of running around for me and poses for me as well. This I will be exhibiting. Thanks, Dad. The lovely Jill, who's over here now. I also do photographs for websites, and this is for Jill's new website, which is coming up. This is Darren Jones. Darren Jones is a local artist and musician, and he has agreed to do the Cultural Centre exhibition with me. His very, very vibrant and beautiful artwork will starkly contrast with my black and white portraits. This is one of his images here, so he's going to provide the colour and the romance, and my images will be very different in contrast to his work. So this is my exhibition. It's called Click. The opening is on Saturday the 10th of November from 2 till 4 p.m. There will be bellinis if you dress in cocktail attire. No, that's a joke. And I hope you can make it. Thank you for listening.
I'm Agnes Lukac. I was born in Transylvania, which is in Romania, and after finishing the art high school, I there's supposed to be a few things there, but that's all right. I can talk. So after finishing the art high school in Romania, I believed my parents and my friends that I cannot make a living out of art, so I haven't done anything for almost 10 years. And I moved to Hungary in Budapest, so I lived there for 12 years, and now I'm living in Southend for 7 months. Yeah, I came to England in last year for the first time, first in North for 6 months, and now I'm in Southend and I really do enjoy it. I started to paint in 2010 again, and this is a few paintings for my early stage when I was using card and pen. And then in 2011 I started to use acrylic on canvas, so you can see the progression between in 1 year what I achieved. And this year I started to do clocks, so I'm really obsessed with the clocks now. So yeah, these are my clocks at the moment, and these are all on glass. I'm cutting my own shapes, I'm doing the hole and painting with acrylic on glass. At the moment, a few weeks ago, I started to do all different stuffs called eccentric collections. So I'm doing clocks from things that are not meant to be clocks, like belly boots and guitar and bags and all this stuff. So I've just started to do them, so I don't know where I'm going to be in a few weeks. I had a few exhibitions since May, since I'm living in Southend. I've been to Southend Central Library, the Lego Cafe. I did a demo for 2 weeks in Lee in a cafe. I wanted to show people how I'm doing my art. They might be interested in, and they were. I've been to Village Green, Art of Railings. Last weekend was a craft fair at Chalkwell, and it was raining, so not many people came, but it was really nice. And these are my upcoming events. On 10 and 11 November I'm going to be a Southend Gift and Craft Show, and I'm going to have my exhibition from 1st of November at the Rendezvous Casino of the Curzo. And that was me. Thank you.
I'm a painter, and a modern painter. I graduated, it seemed an eternity ago now, and I exhibited straight away. Got involved with the Stuckists, and I don't know how many of you heard of the Stuckists?
Yeah.
The main protagonist, and that was a heck of an experience for me for at least 10 years. And I've moved away from the Stuckists for one reason or another. I feel I need to be independent now and to think wider of the scope. And so I think my work over time has developed quite a lot. I come from, I hope I do this right. Yes. This is action painting number 2. It's about 7 foot by 5 foot. When I was at uni, I loved to blow the doors off. I really did. Just to get it on and get the paint down. And I could do that really easy and think on the grand scheme of things. This was a piece that I was working between complete abstraction and figuration, which is my lecturer used to say, you won't get it, but I did. I did in the end, I succeeded. It's a big intellectual challenge to find something to build your portfolio into a professional area, and it took me a long time to find it. Well, once you find it, you just hold on to it because it's what you do. Whether it's photography, and there's some fantastic talent here tonight. I'm really impressed. Blew me away. Makes this seem a bit trivial, but this piece is self-spilledness. It's a German word for self-portrait, and quite prophecising painting actually. And it went to Paris, a collection guy, businessman out there, over 3,000 paintings, and he wanted that one. It was kind of a peak. That's a main piece. You do 10 pieces, and one piece stands out. That piece stood out major. And you can't see the lineage quite yet. That was done over 10 years ago now. This is recent work. You can see it's quite raw. I started to find something in my work to mix the reality with abstraction, which my lecturer said so I couldn't do. And I think I'm looking for one. This is just a general painting. So you produce 10 paintings and maybe 2 would be of any quality for your peace of mind to make it right. So you tend to work on pieces, 2 or 3 pieces at a time, and I can spend the previous one. I spent 2 years completing. Just when I thought it was finished, it wasn't. So it didn't worry me. Put it against the wall, I look at something else, travel to London, see an exhibition, come back, think about it, and get it on. That's why looking at young Basquiat up there, he's my hero. And I love Basquiat. This is I feel these 2 pieces, this one and the previous pieces, it's not successful for me. I look and look, and I know there's something missing in the painting. And, I think it's quite an illogical process. It's not ordered like the structure of this evening. But that's the nature of the painting. That's very much where Basquiat and Andy Warhol came from, that background. I'm able to put everything into it. I'll flick along. That works. Some of the landscapes, which are not main pieces. Very important. This is my cartooning background, which I came from. That was Dennis Mouse I did for the Beano.
What, you designed those words?
Yeah, I was a ghost artist in the 1980s. And I did this as a practice piece. I took it from one of the pages that I illustrated. I did this, but this is a 66-page piece I did for Beano in the 80s. Billy Weirs for the comic, main collect. That's it.
Hello, sorry. We're going to be up and down the microphone, which is a lot taller than me. My name's Charlotte Windley. I'm a local theatre producer and stage manager. I run a little theatre company called Cherub Productions. And this year at Clifftown Theatre, do you all know where that is in Southend? It's the church at the back of Clarence Street car park, which houses East 15 Acting School. This year we're doing a children's production of Pinocchio. It's a reimagining of the classic children's tale, and everything is made out of recycled materials. Even the show, even Pinocchio, made out of recycled materials. All the set, the costumes, we've got a messy play workshop, and so the whole thing is about recycling, especially with regards to food recycling, food waste, which has been quite popular this year. Corey, who's the environmental dudes who come around and collect your bins, they want to promote the use of your blue buckets and things like that. This year it's one of their targets. So it's all about recycling, saving the planet, reusing everything around you, and so everything we've got together. This is Charlie. He's our caterpillar. He's made out of paper mache, nice Sainsbury's bag on top, and he's got a little dummy made out of a bottle top. So all the puppets we have, we've got another one here, they're all made out of recycled materials or things that we've been found and reused. My colleague here, this is Tess, I'm going to introduce her now.
Hello, I'm Tess. I am the director of Pinocchio, or I will be when rehearsals start soon. We have some images, I don't know what order they're in, so I'm sorry. As we said, this is Charlie. He was handmade by one of our puppeteers who you'll see later, Magnus. And again, she's made out of recycled materials. You can see her horns made out of Coke bottles. Her eyes are made out of bottle lids as well. She's quite a big one. We didn't bring her because she's quite tall. Other way. There we are, that's Magnus, and that's Harry. Harry is a little duckling, that's why he's only a baby. When he rolls forward, his wings flap. I think that's exciting. I don't know about the rest of you, but I find that adorable. Obviously we have Ron here. We've nicknamed him Naked Ron because unlike all the other puppets, he hasn't got a t-shirt. So this is Naked Ron, and there's some of his family there as well. So just to give you a quick rundown on the production, Pinocchio, as you can see, is meant to teach children about recycling. It is obviously a big thing that we need for the planet and blah blah blah, you've heard that message before. But we want to get it into children's minds so that they can start recycling early. The piece is a completely intersensory piece of theatre. We want children of all abilities to be able to enjoy it. So it has some, it's tactile, it's there's smells, there's sounds, there's things for them to make in a messy play workshop before the show starts.
BSL performances as well.
Yeah, BSL performances, and it's meant to be colourful. We want you to go in, and there are lights, there are sounds, there's music, there's things to touch, things to play with, there's lots of colour, and all around the theme, like we said, of recycling. So Professor Geppetto needs an apprentice. Pinocchio is made, and he helps Professor Geppetto to sort out the naughty villagers with which he is one, and teach them how to recycle, and hopefully just make it fun for children and be an alternative to Shane Ritchie at the Cliffs Pavilion. So that it's cheap and it's fun, and we just want to get as many people involved, and especially as many children, as we said, as we can.
And there are flyers on the table as we speak.
There we are.
Right, my name is Laura Keeble, and I'm going to talk about a specific piece of work. Normally I sculpt and do street installations, but I've long wanted to paint and kind of joined my degree maybe 5 years ago now because I wanted to learn how to paint, and finished my degree, hadn't learned how to paint, had learned how to do lots of other things, but I still pined to be a kind of mythical artist really, and kind of be a turmoil with painting and be very gestural and all that kind of thing, but couldn't find a reason to paint, and a lot of the work that I made is conceptual, so kind of equating that into painting is really, really difficult, well it was for me. So this is about a painting that I made, which is my first painting, and it got accepted into the John Moores Finalist Prize, so I'm going to talk about that. The painting is called I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. Okay, so in August 2011 was the London riots, and kind of importantly at the time, my son had been accepted, he's 14, and he was accepted into the National Youth Theatre, and that meant that he had to go to Greenwich for 2 weeks and live in student digs on his own, which was all sorts of anxious for me. But the student riots happened at this time, so there was lots of kind of neurotic phone calls from me going, where are you okay, what's happening? And the digs got put on lockdown, and they were basically rioting kind of literally along where he was staying. So the next day I went up there and I wanted to kind of make sure everything was cool and he was safe. This is Greenwich, and this was what kind of I was met with when I went up there. One of the things that happened is we was walking around together, kind of seeing all the destruction and shop owners kind of clearing out their broken glass and kind of trying to get stuff together and not knowing what was going to happen the next night and whether there was still riots going on during the daytime. Was that I found an old can on the floor.
I would just like to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, Ruth Catlow. Ruth's recently moved to Southend, and but she also runs. She's an artist and co-founder of Furtherfield, which is an online community for art, technology, and social change. Furtherfield also have a gallery in the heart of Finsbury Park, which has been open for almost a year, is it?
Since February.
Since February.
Yeah.
In North London. She works with artists, curators, musicians, programmers, writers, activists and thinkers from around the world, and is currently developing the artistic programme and organisational infrastructure with a focus on media art ecologies.
She also works in higher education and has done for over 15 years. She's head of school at Whittle School of Design, developing art and design in land-based contexts. She's working with other disciplines within the college as well, within her local, national and international partners. She regularly contributes to publications, books and conferences and has participated in exhibitions all over the world. She was recipient of a 2003 Lo-Fi Net Art Commission and is advisor to Tilt Factor, which is an independent games production lab that focuses on critical play. So hugely busy. Ruth's also been in residence with Metal last year and is also developing a game that's based in Southend, which I don't know whether you're going to be talking about that tonight, hopefully. Yes, yeah. So can you please all welcome Ruth Catlow.
Thanks, Colette. Yeah, I've been living in Southend since August last year, and an event like tonight reminds me how much I like Southend. I moved from North London and wasn't sure what it was going to feel like, having been a Londoner all my life. And I just keep meeting really good people, good artists, hearing really interesting stuff going on. There's a real kind of passion for different ways of doing things here that I'm just really enjoying. So it sounds like I'm going to butter you up so that you don't all throw rotten tomatoes at me, but it's just true. So I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about kind of the work that I do as a kind of artist when I'm working on my own. I'm going to focus on kind of two main chunks of stuff. The work that kind of further field, so this organisation that I co-founded in the mid-90s with Mark Garrett, who is my husband, and also he's a born Southender, which is part of the reason we're back here. And so I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about the project that Colette talked about, which is Local Play, which is a project kind of, it's a Southend based project, and I asked to come and talk here because I'd really like to kind of get to know more of you kind of people and seeing the kind of work that you've been showing, by which I mean creative people who are doing interesting stuff in Southend, because I'd like to, if you're interested, it'd be really interesting to think of ways that we could collaborate on stuff and work together. So yes, I started out as a sculptor, and then in the mid-90s, Brit Art was starting to land in London, and it made artist studios and the kind of life I was living feel quite unhappy for me. It was doing something strange to the way people felt as artists and the way they worked together. It was doing something, it meant it was making it more difficult for people to talk about different kinds of content and different kinds of ideas. It was actually making it harder for people to work together in a kind of free and open way. That's another discussion, but I think it's an important part of really why we took to the net as an interesting place to work. In the mid-90s, Mark and I discovered Backspace, which was an one of the really early cyber lounges in London. Oh, a bit hot, excuse me. And Backspace was a very informal space that invited, it was stealing bandwidth from an advertising company upstairs, Lateral, who were famous for making the Levi jeans adverts where the guy goes into the laundrette and throws it in the washing machine, you might remember that. So Lateral had made a lot of money doing advertising, and they were sharing their bandwidth, or we were stealing it, I can't remember what, creating a kind of open lab in which people could come in and just explore the internet as a creative space. And this lab was inhabited by all kinds of, a kind of strange mismatch of people, so artists, techies, business people, lots of unemployed people, of which I was one, people off the streets, and basically we were just there and mucking about with the internet and trying to work out what it was. And we learnt to kind of make stuff together, and the internet was a very strange place. And what hooked us was that we found people people who were curious about what this new space was, a new public space that you could publish to, that anyone could publish to. And this felt like a really interesting space in contrast to the very kind of gate-kept gallery spaces of Brit Art London. And so that's kind of how we got started, and we met in that time through mailing lists. We put up very ugly, frumpy web pages that we'd made ourselves, but obviously we were interested in stuff and we were sharing our interest with people. And in that kind of early internet days, we met other people who were doing the same kinds of thing, who were curious, experimental and kind of DIYers. And now I'm going to skip 15 years. And so 15 years on, we're now kind of part of a really wide community. We have a subscribing community now of, I think, I'm going to make this up, but it's roughly right at about 6,500 people. And each year of those 6,500 people, at least 400 or 500 are involved in various kinds of collaborative projects, whether they're network performance or group projects where things get made together, where we come together and work out how to do stuff together, whether it's tech. And now what we do is art, technology and social change. So the thing that pulls us together is a shared understanding that both art and technology are world-forming. They're kind of world-forming cultures, and we're interested in that. And we're interested in the social effects of technology and the social effects of people changing the way they think about what it means to be an artist and what it means to be an artist in connection with other people. So you're looking at our homepage here. We work as often and as much as we can with open source technology, which means it's both free and it's made by enthusiasts, so when things break, you're more likely to be able to find people who can help you fix stuff. It's not quite as straightforward as that, but it's kind of, talk to me more about it and I'll tell you tales of woe, but it's kind of, it still feels like the right way to go for us, and feels progressively more like the right way to go for us. So a lot of the projects that we're working on are ways of sharing skills and knowledge about working with this software and the kind of cultures that surround it, the cultures of openness, participation, sharing stuff, sharing knowledge on the principles that all the things that we know how to do are things that we've either had privileged access to or we've got free. So what right do we have to then kind of put boundaries around it and say this is ours and no one else can have it? So this is a very strange presentation style I'm using here. It's not my fault. Okay. We've been running a gallery since 2004 with a focus on networks, so network cultures, which the kind of networks of the internet really made our imaginations spark, because it allowed us to connect with people across distance but also across difference. We kind of, you can connect with very different kinds of people. Back in those days it felt like a kind of new and quite it was like a kind of door open on a new utopia. I think that things have got darker since then, either because of age or because we actually realise what we're dealing with. I don't know. But so really since 2004, the network culture has been what our exhibition spaces and what our gallery has been around to look at. And I'm going to show you just some images from our current show. So this show is it's called The World Wild Web, and I'll let the slides run. Okay, so this is our gallery. It's really lovely to be in the middle of a park. So we've got what looks like a gingerbread house in the middle of the park. It's next to I think that might be the only picture you're going to see of the gallery, but it's next to the play area, the boating pond, the cafe. So we're now in a very public place where people come when they're happy and having a nice time generally, which means we gives us an added responsibility to do things that people can access and feel like it's for them. This show is about artists who work with technology as a way of thinking about connecting to different webs of life. So the network technologies give us a way to do all the things that we do as human beings. Our strapline is to be alive is to be wild. And one of the things that the internet does is it allows us to kind of amplify all the things that we do as living beings. So to sing, express ourselves, to express our lust, all of these kinds of things. And what we were interested in with this show was things that happen right at the edge of those webs of technology and where they connect with different webs of life. This piece is by Andy Deck, and it looks at how animals, it's animal expressions, what's it called? Crowdsourcing. And he's used Twitter as a way to invite people to share their animal expressions. So the only one I can think of at the moment is a rude one, the dog's bollocks, okay. So there's the bee's knees. So it's a collection of all the different ways in which animals, the behaviour of animals is embedded in our language. And his idea is that with the mediation of culture, the Disneyfication of culture, we have all these cute images of animals. And he's interested in how our language has these deep, ancient, embedded relationships with animals, and he's collecting those to remind us of these different kinds of relationships that we have. I won't describe each one separately, but we're growing mushrooms from coffee grounds and shredded software manuals. This is by Dominic Smith. And Dominic Smith is a coder, and he says that coffee grounds and software manuals are his staple diet. So he's recycling those and growing mushrooms that we've decided we're not going to share those. This is food for the gallery stuff. Okay, I'm going to show you the next thing. Thank you. 10 minutes, okay. I'm going to show you one more thing from here. So this is an example of one of the pieces in the show. I'm choosing to show you this one. I'm going to pick one image, but you can see there's lots of them. One of the things that we knew we wanted to do in the park was to make work where local people could see themselves reflected within the gallery and within the artwork that was made. So it's again, and we hope we're going to be here for 3 years in this gallery, and we're moving from a place where they see themselves reflected in the work, they participate in the making of the work. I'll explain exactly what I mean in a minute. Towards, in 3 years' time, we really hope that our exhibitions, at least a very good proportion of our exhibitions, will be co-curated with local people and become a real kind of reflection of the concerns and interests of the people who live in the area. This is from Lakers Derive. The park is used for dog walking, and this is by an Australian artist called Sarah Waterson. And it's called Lakers Derive, the Dog's Detour, and it's dog derive, the derive being a kind of political way of walking from Guy Debord, one of the original situationists, and the idea that by walking mindfully of the politics and your physicality that you can kind of change your relationship with the local environment. And what this thing does is that it does that for dogs. So we see the world through the eyes of dogs. They've got a webcam on their collars and a piece of GPS mapping software hanging from their collars. So it maps their walk we see through their eyes, and it's also, this software is also collecting sniff data. So what we get is a kind of route map of interest, of dog interest. So our kind of, we're saying the gallery is for dogs as well. We want the gallery to be creating new ways of thinking about our relationship with the park, both the kind of natural life in it and the people. Okay. So, this is, I'll just spend 5 minutes talking about this project. It's called Local Play, and I'm working with an artist called Mary Flanagan, who's a game artist based in the States, and we've known each other for many years. We've both kind of used games as a kind of artistic form to have people, to mess with people's minds and to have people behave in certain ways as a kind of art form. We've been interested in those things just separately and individually. And Mary came to a residency here a couple of years ago, and then I was invited to talk on a panel with her, and out of that came a really interesting set of discussions about the relationship between kind of participation and local planning. And after another year of kind of bashing our heads together and working with a local writer called Rachel Lichtenstein, who many of you will probably know, this project came out of this Local Play. So there's this kind of provocative call to involvement that says, people of Southend, imagine your futures together. If you draw it, it will happen. Make a play for the long-term health and prosperity of all. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to go to this one because there's an image I want to show you. Okay, so this kind of gives you an illustration of what the project is. What we're doing is that we're creating a platform game of Southend that will be drawn by Southenders. I love drawing. I haven't shown you. Drawing is kind of what I do when I'm being kind of happy, selfish, self-preoccupied artist. And I do a lot of. I really like social drawing as an activity as well. I do it a lot at college where I'm teaching. There's all kinds of really wonderful things about drawing. I really could just talk for about an hour and a half just about drawing and social drawing because I just think there's so much to it. What we're doing is we're creating a platform game of Southend in which the environments, the obstacles, the enemies and the gameplay are made by Southenders. So I think what I'll do now is just put on a slideshow of drawings that were made at Village Green and just wrap up so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. So, what will happen? We're creating a series of drawing exercises in which we invite people to think about Southend in very particular kinds of ways. It's actually really hard to talk with these drawings going on in the background because they're very kind of, they do things to your head. But yeah, so we're setting very particular exercises, and people. And what we're hoping is that people will produce images that are very Southendy. Then we're creating a platform in which people can take those drawings, pull them into a game, onto a level. So a platform game is Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Brothers. They'll stitch these together and then give them their own rules and behaviours. And we're working hopefully with you and other different groups of people and different individuals around Southend to work out what kinds of behaviours and ways of being together are particularly Southendy, with a view to creating a game that has people think about the way they want to live together and think more imaginatively about the place we share and the place we would like to share. What we're looking for is artists. We're going to be advertising a job at some point to help with the production of the project. I want to know about local community groups, because we kind of want to connect with this diverse kind of representative range of Southend community groups, so that we really do get something that feels like it's from Southend. We're looking for people to take part in game testing and game playing. We will be commissioning 3 Essex-based artists each to create a level in the game, and we also want to work with the local gallery to display some of the drawings and to house the game. And we're going to suck up to Southend Museum and see if they'll host the game kind of in perpetuity. So please do talk to me. If any of this appeals to you, just come and talk to me about anything, and I'd really like to hear your thoughts about things that we could do to make it better or work better or feel better. Thank you.